Imagine thinking that your best friend's son betrayed and murdered him, only to slowly realize that maybe just maybe, you've been living inside the biggest lie in shinobi history. That's the tragedy that Konohamaru Sarutobi is about to face in Boruto 2 Blue Vortex. For 3 years, he carried the weight of believing that Naruto was killed by Boruto, somebody who Konohamaru actually mentored, but due to omnipotence, he believes that Kawaki is that child. But the recent chapters, they're beginning to start showing us cracks in that belief, that Konohamaru may be on the verge of a huge shift, finally starting to see that Boruto is not the enemy, but instead he is Naruto's true son, and someone who is worthy of protecting. Join me in today's newest Naruto Explained video where your OBC, your original Boruto chief, breaks down why Konohamaru's suspicions they matter, how omnipotence is still likely going to continue twisting his perception, why he's going to have to fight against it, and why all this ties into Boruto regaining his family, starting with Team 7 piece by piece. Also, Boruto's manga has crossed a big milestone this week, with Shueisha confirming it has 10 million copies in Japan alone, which for reference, that's 2 million behind Dragon Ball Super and Dandadan. I'll leave linked in the description box the video where I have the updated numbers on both Japan's 10 million and the worldwide numbers being just under 17 million for Boruto, which I recommend watching if you're curious about how the manga industry works and how Boruto stacks up overall. Also, don't forget to sub to my Anime Explained channel where I discuss other anime and manga, and my Everything One Piece Explained channel where I only discuss One Piece and explain videos and blind reactions to chapters from chapter 1 all the way up to the current chapter of the series. Everything from both of those channels will be linked in the description box for your convenience, as well as that Boruto video we talked about earlier. So let's just get right into it. Let's look at why Konohamaru's hatred runs so deep. So after omnipotence, everyone, they're remembering Boruto as the outsider who killed the Hokage. For someone like Konohamaru, this ain't just betrayal, it is personal. His grandfather, the third Hokage, was killed while serving as Hokage. His brother in spirit, Naruto, was the Hokage during this supposed peaceful era. He believes that Boruto was a child that Naruto took in against everyone's wishes, and he believes that Boruto killed Naruto. Having your grandfather killed by a traitor in Orochimaru and having your big brother in Naruto killed by a traitor in quote Boruto, that's going to cut him deeply. And for Konohamaru, this cuts even harder because in chapter 58 of Boruto Naruto Next Generations, before his memory was altered, he told Naruto he didn't want Kawaki on there. He tried to step in between Team 7 fighting. Naruto said, hey, give them a chance for it to work out. Now that omnipotence has happened, all those memories he had of Kawaki in a negative light, all that's associated with Boruto. In Konohamaru's eyes, Boruto didn't just kill the 7th Hokage. He stole Konohamaru's family because he views Naruto as family, and he destroyed a dream that he fought for because his goal to be Hokage, it meant him fighting Naruto for that title one day. That explains why he's been so hostile in Boruto 2 Blue Vortex. He's questioning why Boruto ran away if he's innocent in chapter 1 when Sarada's confronting him. He's telling Boruto he had some nerve showing back up in Konoha when the Hidari fight happened. Boruto, he was quick to arrest him after Jura's attack and Boruto was unconscious. He was interrogating him with skepticism. He was watching as Ibiki was beating the brakes off of him. Even after Boruto saved him from Matsuri, Konohamaru was still cold to a degree and questioning him. It wasn't until Jura showed up that Konohamaru said, wait a second, Sarutobi have a history of dying, I'm getting out of here. That wasn't just hostility, that was also grief and betrayal mixed together. There's also a subtle shift though that is starting to take place. This recent interrogation that Kobu, the aide to the feudal lord, is carrying out is something we have to look at. It is a turning point. When Kobu and the two elders were asking Konohamaru all these questions, Konohamaru, who once condemned Boruto outright, actually defended him, saying that Boruto wasn't as evil as they were making him out to be, and he did not think that Boruto was an enemy. He did not think that Boruto was working with these Shinju. This is something massive because Konohamaru is the last person who cut Boruto any slack when you think about it. Yet, something inside of him is already subconsciously beginning to fight back against Omnipotence. He is questioning, how can the guy that I think is so terrible do these things that are actually pretty good? He's not fully there yet, but there are signs he's beginning to doubt. And that doubt is going to be the first crack in this illusion. Boruto saving Konohamaru from Matsuri, Kashin Koji might not have wanted it, but Boruto might have actually made a good path, a good direction by having done this, by having gone against the 10 Directions vision. Now, in terms of Omnipotence itself, I think it bears repeating because there's still people in the fandom who don't get how Omnipotence works. This does not make Konohamaru stupid. Sometimes there are a lot of fans who dismiss characters that are under Omnipotence as being dumb for not realizing the truth sooner. They go, hey, how can you look at a picture of Naruto holding baby Boruto and go, hey, that doesn't look like Kawaki, that looks like that traitor Boruto. Omnipotence makes you look past things that challenge your memories. Sasuke literally saw Boruto with a scar over his eye, sensed Momoshiki's chakra inside of him, saw his headband, and that still was not enough for Sasuke to fully trust Boruto. He had to trust that Sarada was telling him the truth. Sasuke himself said, the more that time passes, the more that things are supposed to bother him are bothering him less. That is how overpowered Omnipotence is. That's not how you're supposed to view characters in terms of thinking that they're dumb. Omnipotence is literally rewriting their memory, making their perception look past what's the actual reality. It actively fights you when you notice those contradictions. Let's use more examples to drive this point home. Kawaki being a cyborg, it should be a giant red flag. Naruto's real son was never experimented on by Kara, but Kawaki is a full-blown cyborg, which, reminder, cyborg means human with mechanical enhancements. Cyborg is not an android, but people can't process that. In universe, as well as fans who can't tell the difference between android and cyborg. Sasuke is a genius. He had to fight his own memory once Sarada told him the truth. Shikamaru is another genius. He can't even recall the very word of Omnipotence itself. It is erased from his mind. Even after Boruto explained it to him, his brain is outright rejecting it. Kashin Koji saw Omnipotence take place in one of the timelines he saw via his 10 Directions ability, but even his memory is affected. He too has to actively ignore his memories to see things clearly. He said it himself, in my mind, you are the kid that Kara raised. You're not Boruto Uzumaki. So Konohamaru is not being slow. He's not being stupid. He's basically not being that serial crayon eater that Naruto was in part 1 of Naruto's story. He's being human, a human caught in a Shinjutsu level manipulation. The fact that he's starting to resist it all, that is truly proof of his loyalty to Naruto running so deep that it's beginning to cut through lies and it's beginning to cut through even a mighty Shinjutsu. Now, this is a big moment for Boruto, a really big moment. Boruto's journey since Omnipotence, it has been defined by isolation. He was alone, and then Sasuke joined him. He was alone. His family was ripped away by Kawaki. His friends turned against him. Mitsuki tried to kill him. His village saw him as a traitor. However, slowly, piece by piece, that isolation began to break. Sasuke looked out for him for a year. Kashin Koji has a questionable alliance with him, but Sarada never abandoned him, and her love for him now makes her an anchor for him. Mitsuki, who once declared Kawaki as being his son, is now starting to question if Boruto is the true son to his moon all along. Now you have Konohamaru, the leader of the original Team 7 for Boruto's generation. He's beginning to doubt that illusion. This matters greatly. Boruto isn't just regaining allies, he's regaining his family. Team 7 was ripped apart by Omnipotence. but destiny is slowly pulling those 4 members back together. Obviously not counting Kawaki, obviously not counting Sumire. For Boruto, who's carried this crushing burden alone for so long, having even one person step into his corner helps shoulder the darkness. Human beings, they were never meant to be alone. In Boruto's story, it is now finally reflecting that. In terms of why Konohamaru must protect Boruto, Konohamaru's arc isn't about believing Boruto again. It's about duty. Shikamaru, once he accepted the truth, he now is acting to protect Boruto because that's his role as Naruto's advisor. That's his role as one of Naruto's oldest friends. Konohamaru, he has an even deeper reason. Naruto was not just a Hokage, he was his rival, he was his brother, he was his role model. If Naruto's true son is being falsely accused and hunted down, Konohamaru's honor, which in Japan honor is a big deal, Konohamaru's honor demands that he step up. Protecting Boruto is also protecting Naruto's legacy. And Konohamaru knows better than anyone what it means to uphold a Hokage's will. Once Konohamaru finally realizes the truth, expect his loyalty to be turned away from where you have current hostility. It's going to be a fierce loyalty to Boruto. He will become one of Boruto's shields. He will join Sarada and Sumire and Shikamaru, just as he once wanted to walk beside Naruto. That road ahead is very poetic. Konohamaru defending Boruto, even slightly, is a major signal of things to come. Omnipotence is slowly cracking in the key areas, one relationship at a time. First Sarada, then Mitsuki is beginning to doubt. Now Konohamaru, though it should be worth noting again, Sarada was not affected by Omnipotence. She stayed as his shield from day one. Once Konohamaru begins to accept the truth, Boruto's circle of trust, it will nearly be complete. And the emotional weight from his isolation, it will finally begin to lift. The irony in all this is that the more that Kawaki tries to use Omnipotence to isolate Boruto, the stronger Boruto has become, and the stronger his bonds are going to be once they are rebuilt on truth instead of a false memory, showcasing the fact that what Boruto had can overcome a Shinjutsu itself, because that type of love and affection that you have for somebody, at the end of the day, it's still deep inside the heart. Someone like Mitsuki is beginning to realize that, and it's the same thing for Konohamaru. And that's the one thing Otsutsuki don't understand: love. That is why Kawaki becoming more and more like Ishiki and Otsutsuki is so poetic. And when the day comes that Konohamaru does fully realize that Boruto is really Boruto, it won't just be Konohamaru realizing that as a sensei, it'll also be him as Naruto's brother, accepting Naruto's son. Again, not literal brother, but figurative brother. It's going to make us ask the question, is Konohamaru now finally starting to warm up to Boruto? Or is this going to be a small moment before he goes back to hostility? And when he does finally realize the truth, he's going to be very important to Boruto's comeback story. Obviously, if you enjoyed this video, consider subscribing and clicking here on the left to check out more videos from Naruto Explained, or click here on the right to check out videos from other 2 anime channels where I talk about non-Naruto content.